The doors to the Viridian tea house are open once more. Hello, everyone. I've got some really cool books and tea and something new in my life to talk about. So if you're ready, let's do this. But before I begin, I do want to say thank you to the folks at Denver Magic Makers Market. This past Sunday was an absolutely fantastic time, and I've already been confirmed for 2 more events next month. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you very much. I'm so glad to be a part of this family. All right, so let's get with the books here. The first book is The Caterpillar Dog and Other Early Stories by Tennessee Williams. I adore Tennessee Williams, so much so that I decided yesterday that I was going to start collecting his work. This man did too many plays to count. Short stories, novels, screenplays, you name it, he did it. And I was fortunate to go to his house in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where they had one of the Tennessee Williams festivals. And it gave me a lot of insight into the man and the writer as well. And when I lived in New Orleans, I went on a literary tour, and one of the stops was the home or apartment where Tennessee Williams wrote A Streetcar Named Desire. That's my all-time favorite play of his. I have one of the movie versions. I have the one with Vivien Leigh, and that is, she is very much Blanche Dubois. She really is. But I wanted to read more of his works outside of the plays. And so I saw this at Denver Public Library. So many thanks to the Bear Valley branch for having this. And let me just read the back of it for you. These 7 previously unpublished tales were penned by Thomas Lanier Williams of Missouri before he became Tennessee. His voice is unmistakable as he captures private moments in the lives of urban and rural Americans surviving the Great Depression, and the reliable idiosyncrasies and quiet dignity of Williams's eccentrics are already present. Consider the diminutive octogenarian of the Caterpillar Dogs, who may have just met her match in a pair of laughing Pekingese that refused to surrender to her demands. The retired evangelist in Every Friday Night is Kitty's Night, which was really a funny story, who receives a message from God to move to St. Louis and to go to the movies. Or the distraught factory worker whose stifled artistic spirit and just a soupçon of the macabre propel the drama of Stair to the Roof, which out of the entire collection was the most traumatic for me. I honestly didn't see the ending coming. I really didn't. In 1935, Williams described his short story writing this way: "It is full of bombastic irrelevancies. The characters aren't logically developed, and the romantic spirit is almost unbearably sweet. But I was only trying to create a single poetic effect, and think I may have succeeded a little in doing that." So this was published through New Directions Publishing Company in New York, and I just have to say it was... How many stories? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 stories. And when I would get to the next story, I thought, I'm not going to be interested in this. There wasn't a story in this collection that I wanted to skim through. I wanted to savor every word that Tennessee Williams put to paper. And what's funny is when I read his stories, I got this distinct Southern gentleman accent in my brain and that I couldn't shake. And I thought, you know what, just go with it. You're creative, just go with it. I love his characters, both in the plays and now in the short stories. They're full of idiosyncrasies and eccentricities and redemption and changing of ways and fallen from grace but rising up at the last moment. All of that can be found in the world of Tennessee Williams, and I can't wait to delve into more of his plays and short stories. So this was a great introduction into more of this beautiful mind. So for The Caterpillar Dogs and Other Early Short Stories by Tennessee Williams, it does receive Viridian Tea House's 5 pots of tea. I wish I could have met him, to be quite honest. And also too, if you're interested in learning more about Tennessee Williams, there is a museum in Key West, Florida that is devoted to him because he did spend quite a bit of time living there. There's also the Tennessee Williams and New Orleans Literary Festival, which is going on in March. And that includes the Stella yelling contest, Stella, Stella. So I'm thinking about going to that festival, maybe not this year, but maybe next year. And there's all sorts of different societies and organizations and libraries and what have you, all to commemorate this wonderful genius of a man. So check out The Caterpillar Dogs and Other Early Stories by Tennessee Williams, published through New Directions. All right, so the next book, I want to say, scared the shit out of me. It scared the ever-living shit out of me. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. And that is The Woman in the Mirror by Rebecca James. So I love Gothic fiction. I love anything dealing with Gothic, of course. This book captured it and so much more. And it almost kind of reminded me of kind of like Flowers in the Attic. That same sinister feeling where you have to keep looking over your shoulder because you feel something is not right. Except in this one, as opposed to the V.C. Andrews series, something is definitely not right. So let me read the dust jacket for you. A chilly modern Gothic novel about a family consumed by the shadows and secrets of its past. For more than 2 centuries, Winterbourne Hall has stood atop a bluff overlooking the English countryside of Cornwall and the sea beyond. Enshrouded by fog and enveloped by howling winds, the imposing edifice casts a darkness over the town. In 1947, Londoner Alice Miller accepts a post as governess at Winterbourne, looking after twin children, Constance and Edmund, for their widower father, Captain Jonathan de Grey. I love that name. Falling under the de Grey's spell, Alice believes the family will heal her own past sorrows. But then the twins' adoration becomes deceitful and taunting. Their father, ever distant, turns spiteful and cruel. The manor itself seems to lash out. Alice finds her surroundings subtly altered, her air slightly chilled. Something malicious resents her presence, something clouding her senses and threatening her very sanity. In present-day New York, art gallery curator Rachel Wright has learned she is a descendant of the de Greys and heir to Winterbourne. Adopted as an infant, she never knew her birth parents or her lineage. At long last, Rachel will find answers to questions about her identity that have haunted her entire life. But what she finds in Cornwall is a devastating, tragic legacy that has afflicted generations of de Greys. A legacy born from greed and deceit, twisted by madness and suffused with unrequited love and unequivocal rage. There is only one true mistress of Winterbourne. She will not tolerate any woman who dares to cross its threshold and call it home. Those who do will find only a reflection of their own wicked sins and an inherited vengeance. And about Rebecca James, she worked in publishing for several years before leaving to write full-time, and is now the author of 8 previous novels written under a pseudonym. Her favorite things are autumn walks, Argentinian red wine, and curling up in the winter with a good old-fashioned ghost story. She lives in Bristol with her husband and 2 daughters. Gothic, very Gothic, dripping, oozing with the blackness that is Gothic fiction. And the ending threw me for a loop. Of course, you should never, if you feel like all the loose ends have been tied up and you have like 5 more pages left, do not assume that everything's going to go well. But I love the characters. I love the lineage. I love how the Winterbourne legacy even began. And I loved how with each chapter was told by a different voice in a different time period. You felt the desperation. You felt the terror, the sheer sinister feeling of Winterbourne. And I devoured every moment of it. And I have to admit, so when the first scare happened to me, I thought, maybe I should read this during the daytime. But then I just couldn't put it down. I was swept up into the story, especially the dashing Jonathan de Grey. And I read it morning, noon, and night until I finished it. And when I finished it, I said, my God, what a story. I'm so glad that I was a witness to it. But if you are into Gothic fiction or stories about vengeance or stories about families eccentric families, eccentric characters, The Woman in the Mirror by Rebecca James, that you need to check out this book. And it does receive 5 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. Yay! So many thanks to Rebecca James for writing this book, and I'm really curious to see her other books and see if she wrote more in the Gothic fiction style. But yes, The Woman in the Mirror, highly, highly recommended. So now getting to the fun part. So for my birthday, I wanted to learn how to take up knitting, because I thought, I've seen all these people knitting and I don't know if I can do this or not. But after watching a couple of beginner videos, making a lot of mistakes, I finally got into the hang of it, and I finished my first piece actually this morning. And I thought, well, I don't know what this is, but I'm just gonna put my teacups on top of it and just be done with it. So this is the second project that I'm currently working on, and many thanks to Mindful Knits for their lovely yarn. This one is called Dahlia. It's a beautiful color. So this is my new project so far, and I don't know what it's going to turn into. It might become a very long bookmark or a very skinny scarf or what have you, but I love knitting. Love, put my bamboo needle down. I love to knit. There's something very calming about it, and I actually did some research on knitting yesterday, and there are many health benefits to knitting. So if you've always kind of wondered, what's so great about knitting, try it. You just might like it. And the fact that this is my second project and I have gotten that much done so far, I'm very proud of it. I can tell that I've come quite a long way. I really have. So once again, many thanks to Mindful Knits for the lovely Dahlia. My first project was with, I think it was called Fern, really pretty green color, but many thanks to Mindful Knits. Thank you so much. And you will be seeing more knitting in Viridian Tea House, including a knitting themed tea blend. So be on the lookout for that. And speaking of tea, today's tea comes from Good and Gather Organic. This is one of their herbal tisanes. It's mango, pineapple, ginger. And let's see here, the ingredients are, excuse me, organic ginger, organic orange peel, lemongrass, lemon peel, natural flavors, licorice root, and 40% fair trade certified ingredients. And you can get this at Target or Target, but I thought, so I've started doing a nighttime practice where I get a cup of herbal tisane with honey, and then I get a book and I get in the bed and I just read. And it's a great way to wind yourself down for the day so that you're not scrolling through your phone or, oh, let me answer this email, or, oh, let me watch the TV. TV's great, phone's great. But if you just want to end your day on a nice quiet note, try making a cup of herbal tisane and having a book, finding yourself in a quiet area, and just see how you feel. Which leads me to our breathing meditation. So make sure you have a cup of tea or water with you. Find yourself in a comfortable position in a quiet room. We're just going to focus on our breathing. So if you're ready, let's do this. And now let's end this breathing meditation with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or allow your eyes to come back into focus. And now let's have a sip of your water or your tea. Okay, 2 sips. That is truly delicious. So that's all I have for today. Many thanks to Rebecca James, the Spirit of Tennessee Williams, Lovely Good and Gather for their mango pineapple ginger, also Mindful Knits for their lovely yarn, and to all y'all for watching these crazy videos that I don't edit. So that's all I have. So take care of yourself and each other. Raise your crafty witch mug high, and remember that to drink tea is to enjoy life. I will see you guys really soon. Bye for now. Oh, and also, happy Mardi Gras to those who are celebrating Mardi Gras today. So laissez les bon temps rouler, cher. Happy Mardi Gras.